Hello everybody, Naughty Nana here. Now I want to tell you about something that's been on my mind for about a week now. I was over to the PetSmart and I was looking at some stuff for Vivi. I was waiting in line and there was a lady behind me and a lady in front of me. We were chatting and back and forth and back and forth. Well, the lady behind me had a little girl with her. I'd say she's maybe 10. And she just walks over to one of the toys and she got one of them great big tennis balls, you know, that they use for the Rottweilers and them things. Well, she had this big ball and she just picked it up, she just threw it down on the ground. And then she picked up and she threw it down on the ground. She must have thought it was like one of them medicine balls from over to the gym or something. It was just crazy. And her mother's just sitting there smiling. She never said a goddamn thing to that child. And then she picked it up and she smashed it down again. And I was starting to get a little antsy. I was getting antsy, I'm telling you right now. Well, this one time she took it and she threw it up in the air. It landed right square on her face. Good enough for her, that's what I thought. But you think she would stop? No, she just laughed. Her mother let her keep going. I don't understand that. She didn't tell her to shut up or nothing. So, after it hit her in the face, I just looked at her mother and I looked at the kid and I said, "Excuse me, are you going to buy that ball?" And she looked at me like I was crazy or something. And then her mother was looking at me like I was crazy. And her mother goes, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, "Well, if she's not going to buy it, she shouldn't be playing with it. It doesn't have her name on it, so she shouldn't be touching it. It shouldn't have anything to do with her. She's not supposed to touch stuff that don't belong to her, especially if she doesn't have the money." And I even asked her that. I asked her, I said, "Do you have the money to pay for that? Should you break something in this store with you smashing that ball around? Do you have the money?" And she said, "No, I don't, but my mother does." And I looked at her mother. And her mother just looked at me and she goes, "That's my daughter you're talking about. Did you know that? That's my daughter." I said, "Yes, I figured that was your daughter. You're sitting there looking at her and let her get away with it." I said, "That's not right." I said, "You and I are both mothers, and I seem to be the only one that stepped up to do the right thing. You know, my son tells me sometimes, he said, do you really have to be everybody's mother?" Well, see, in this case, apparently I do, because she needed a mother and so did her daughter. I said, I just don't understand that. I don't. And then you go to the mall and they have these babies and the babies are screeching their friggin' brains out and they don't stop and the mother's just clicking that right off in her ears and she's just going and going and going and these babies are screeching and hollering. They're throwing themselves down on the ground. They don't want to be there. They've had enough. I don't care who you are. That's cruelty to children, I think. If I don't want to be someplace, I can go home. But those children don't have the same thing. This one woman, she sat there and she dragged this kid through 3 goddamn stores while it was screeching and hollering and throwing itself on the ground and saying, no, I want to go home, I want to go home. Jesus, I wanted to take that kid and take her home myself, but I didn't know where she lived. And I'm telling you, I don't understand why they let them get away with that stuff. You know, I'm going to toot my own goddamn horn right now, and I can swear on a stack right now, as I'm talking to you right now, that my children, either one of them, have ever had a temper tantrum in a store. Not even once. As soon as I heard the first sound, fuck it, let's go out. We're going to the car, that's it. It's not right. I'm not inflicting my children on the rest of the people in the store. It's just not right. It's not right. You gotta know that. I told my children, I grabbed their hands and I said, "Listen, don't touch anything." And my baby said to me, she goes, "I'm just looking." And I grabbed her little paw and I looked at it and I said, "Do you see any eyeballs on the end of your fingers?" And she said, "No, my eyes are on my head." And I said, "That's right." I said, "Because if you had eyeballs on your fingers, then you could look at something. But your eyes are in your head. These are called looking hands. And when you go to the store, you take your looking hands and you put them behind your back. Because your eyes are up here. They're not here. They're here." And that's all you need to remember. So my children would walk up and down the line with their arms clasped behind their back. And they wouldn't dare touch anything. They'd ask me, "Mommy, can you make that go?" And I'd push the buttons for them and stuff. And she said to me one day, she said, "Mommy, how come you can touch stuff?" I said, "Because if I break it, I can pay for it. That's why." And she said, "Okay." So when we went to the store, before we left the house, they peed, they pooped, or whatever they were going to do. They had something to eat. They had their nap. I had a snack with them. And we started out in the car on the way to the mall, and they were told Today is just a looking day. It's not a buying day. Don't ask for anything. It's a looking day. That means we don't have any money to pay for anything today. And my son, being a little smarty poo that he was, he would look at with his hands behind his back at the store and he'd say, Mommy, the next time it's a buying day, could we get that? Can we get that over there? I said, yes, baby. The next time it's a buying day, that's what we'll do. But they had those rules laid out from the very first time I took them to the mall that they knew where the hell they were at. So please, look after your children. Don't drag them from pillar to post because it annoys the fuck out of everybody around them. You just can't keep doing that. Okay? Love your kids and love them enough to take them the fuck home and get them out of the store and out of everybody else's misery. Be good, give them a hug. Nana loves y'all. Have a good night.